Good afternoon, everyone. So we are doing another Prepping 101 video. And in this video, what I want to do for you guys is I want to talk about defending your home and defending your home if you live in the United Kingdom, in the unlikely case that a civil war breaks out. And I have talked about this quite a few times. I don't think we're going to have something as neat and pretty in the United Kingdom as a civil war where you've got two easily identifiable sides with two easily identifiable goals and objectives. I don't think that's coming. What I think is coming is more of a tribal wars. So there will be these guys fighting these guys who are allied with these guys until those guys over there are defeated, and then those guys are going to turn on those guys. So what I want to do in this video, I want to talk about defending your home. Now, look, guys, I totally understand that no two homes are going to be the same, right? No two homes are going to be the same. And you need to consider what you are trying to defend in that home, in that property, in that fortress. Now, your home, every Englishman's home is his castle, right? In that home, you need to, the best way, if you're trying to protect your family, right? The best way is to not be there, right? Okay. So this comes down to my very first Prepping 101 video, which is the most important. Improvise. No, it's not improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Now, in that video, I talk about, triggers that you guys need to set as a family, as a team, as a unit, to identify when you guys are going to hibernate, when you guys are going to relocate, and if possible, when you guys are going to evacuate, as in leave the country. Now, a lot of people are already starting to leave the country. You can go straight to evacuate, you can go straight to relocate, and of course, you can hibernate whenever. One of the triggers I've given everyone, and this literally, if you live in the United Kingdom, this is your number one trigger. Everybody, regardless of who you are, where you live. If airstrikes going to Iran, that's going to be your number one trigger, because the likelihood of sleeper cells being activated goes up. Now, I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to talk, I'll come onto the chat, and then we'll see where we go, basically. But what I want to do is just set, we are heading towards a situation very soon in the United Kingdom where the flags still fly, but no one salutes them anymore. There's going to be lots of flags flying of different colors and different nationalities. The news will still be flickering on the screens, but the voices behind it will be hollow. When neighbors stop waving and start watching, I think people will start to understand something most people spend their whole lives pretending isn't true, pretending that isn't true. Your home, your house, it isn't just walls and a roof. It's your last line. It's where you feel safe. It's where you can find sanctuary. It's the final place where the people you love can still, be safe. We always run home, don't we? When we've had a problem with our partners, we always go to somewhere we feel safe. In times like these, when civil war no longer, and it doesn't, guys, listen, I do daily videos, right? And the movement now. So the other day in London, there was the march, wasn't there? Was it? I can't remember. It was like Britain First or something. Regardless who it is, right? Regardless whether you agree with them or not, those people on that march, they don't wave Union flags anymore. They've gone straight to Templar crosses, right? They're waving Templar crosses. You've got literally the next day in that region, a church was set on fire. Is that escalation? Is that civil war? I would say it is. Civil war no longer feels like a page in a history book. It feels like a shadow moving room to room, street to street, door to door. Defending your home isn't about politics. It's not about what side of the political spectrum you're on. No, it's not. It's not about ideology. It's not about courage. It's about the oldest known emotion. It's about fear and survival. Because we are heading towards a situation in the United Kingdom when law becomes a memory. law, order, police, it's just going to be a memory very soon, guys. For those of you guys who've read the statement that Rupert Lowe's just put out, if you guys know what I'm talking about, I want to keep this live stream specific. But what he's saying in that statement is maybe the police are not as loyal to the people they serve as we think, okay? When sirens no longer come, and I think that's going to happen soon, and those people who swore to protect you are either gone, scattered, or wearing a different uniform. You guys know what I mean, right? Because I've said many times, we are going to get to a stage in the United Kingdom where you are going to phone 999 and no one's going to come. Or maybe the wrong people will come, right? Your front door becomes your border between everything you've left behind and everything you want, and everything they want to take. If people know you're there, they'll come for your food, they'll come for your water, they'll come for whatever medicine and whatever else they want. History has taught us this lesson from every conflict, every civil conflict, guys. And let's not pretend that Britain's going to be any different, all right? If you think, okay, so let's answer some questions, all right? Do you think there's a civil conflict coming to the United Kingdom? I do. I feel it's inevitable right now. I don't feel any government has the capacity to deal with it. So I feel it's, I feel it's inevitable. Okay. So if you look then, do you think it's going to be different? Do you think it's going to be, courteous and polite? Or do you think it's going to be like every other civil war in every other country where it's just fucking carnage? History has taught us these lessons, guys, okay? Houses will be targeted. Now, let me jump onto the chat quickly. Good afternoon, everyone. Unimaginable is saying, dude, we've been at that stage for 30 years. Unimaginable, how many churches have been burnt down in the last how many churches have been burnt down in the last year, juxtaposed to how many churches have been burnt down since, I don't know, the 20 to 30 years ago up until 5 years ago? I think this is coming, this is coming fast and it's coming hard. Joshua Harrison is saying, just look what's exactly. Guys, look, these, you don't need to look far to see what's going to happen. When that spark happens, you best, you guys, when that spark happens, you best make your plans. You best make your plans now. And when that spark happens, you best stick to them, because we're going to be in a very, very strange place. There will be people abiding by the laws. There will be police trying to pretend that they're still in charge, but they're clearly not. And I would say that's happened now. It's going to be like the beginning of Mad Max. It really is. And as Joshua Harrison is fantastically pointed out, just look at what's happening in Mexico. The same would happen here. Absolutely, guys. Okay. When these things start, when they start to go south, you gather this energy and all the fucking crazies come out the woodwork. All the crazies come out the woodwork. Santi Todd is saying, what do you own for self-defense in the UK? Okay, so listen, Santi Todd, I don't know if you don't know this, it's illegal to own any weapons in the United Kingdom. You're not allowed to own any weapon for self-defense. That's illegal. And a weapon is I think the legal definition, guys, listen, I'm not a legal expert, but my understanding, go and seek free and fair legal advice. A weapon in the United Kingdom is classed as something that's only use is to inflict harm. And you're not allowed anything like that in the United Kingdom, okay? If you are attacked in the United Kingdom, you are, you've got to phone 999 and maybe you'll get through to the police officers. Paul J saying, I feel like our country is like a scene from Pulp Fiction. Hands tied behind our backs and we're just waiting for Z to come in. Yeah, maybe Bruce Willis. No, didn't Bruce Willis escape? I think Bruce Willis escaped and went back with that sword. Right, listen. Okay, so let's get on to this, guys. Okay, so I just want to talk now about some considerations that, look, there's two ways to protect your house, all right? Overt and covert. As far as I'm concerned, all right? And different people may give you different opinions, right? Covert security, covert protection is best, always, because guess what? If bad guys don't know you're there, they're not going to attack you, right? If they don't know you're there, they ain't going to attack you. However, that said, I understand sometimes it may not be feasible to do that. What do I mean by overt security? Well, if you guys think of Notting Hill, right? You know the Notting Hill Carnival, beautiful carnival, so diverse, beautiful people, beautiful music, beautiful culture. If you think, Notting Hill Carnival, when that's coming, people board their houses up. They literally buy 8x4 sheets of OSB and just board their houses up. That's overt security, right? That's overt security. Everybody's house, everybody's situation will dictate a slightly different, approach. Always best if you can be covert. If you live in a flat or an apartment, very easy to be covert. You've only got one door. You stay in. You don't talk. You don't leave your flat. You don't leave your apartment. You don't flush the toilets. You don't turn the taps on. You don't use your cooking utensils. You literally stay in that apartment in hard routine and you barricade the door. That's your, that's covert. All right. Nobody's going to know you're there. Overt, kind of like where we live, our house is easily, you can see our house like miles and miles and miles away. It's very recognizable. It's impossible for us to do my personal favorite, which would be covert, to hide, basically. So our house, I built my house. They didn't build my house. I bought my house because it was easily defensible. I know not a lot of people don't look at property and think, ooh, can I defend that from all four cardinal bearings? I know people don't think that. But everybody's going to be different, right? So if civil war, or more realistically, widespread civil unrest, riots, or breakdown of public order broke out in the United Kingdom, defending your home would focus on prevention, deterrence, and de-escalation, rather than turning your house into a Lord of the Rings battle site, okay? So the first phase, and this is what you need to do now, okay? Like right now. If you're serious about defending your home, you need to start it now. It goes from everything, all right? Who's got a flashy car on their driveway? Be honest, who's got a flashy car on their driveway? We all like to have that, we all like to have that curb appeal, We like people driving past and looking at our houses, looking at our fancy curtains and our fancy car on the drive and our new anesite door and and all the fancy, that's fine. Guess what? Those people driving past, they're looking at your house and thinking, oh, they might have loot in that house. Yeah, I think they've got loot. So these are visual signs that your house may have something of good, may have goodies inside, basically. And you need to you need to lower your profile as much as you can. I live a really low profile life, guys. My day-to-day drive is a clapped out car. Nobody would think twice that it's just so nondescript. Where I live, you can't see it off the main road. You can see it if you're driving through over the hills because it's quite prominent, but you can't see the entry point from the road. And I made it that way. So yes, you can see my house, but you can't see it off the road. If you want to go through the fields, fine. There's like 10 feet of brambles to go through. The thick, not brambles, blackberry bushes. There's 10 feet wide, at least 10 feet wide of blackberry bushes. And there's a fence, then there's another fence, and there's a 14-foot wall. So it's difficult, right? It's going to be deterring to people. So reduce your, that's if somebody was to say to me, 30 seconds, Sean, how can I prepare my home right now for a civil conflict with no money? I would say reduce your money. Reduce your profile. All right. Lower your profile. Don't do anything flashy. It's going to attract attention. So phase one, prepare your home, and you really need to do this now before the trouble starts if you're serious. So harden your home quietly and legally, all right? Legally. Like, nobody wants Macaulay Culkin's Home Alone with paint cans and flamethrowers. It's just going to cause trouble, okay? Reinforce your doors as best you can. Heavy-duty deadbolts, door bars, jammers, hinge bolts, whatever extra security you can get on those doors. And and those doors are to buy you time, all right? They're to buy you time, buy your family time. For windows, on the bottom floor, you've got to do your own risk assessment, right? If you're in a flat or an apartment and you're high up, obviously, nobody's going to come and get your windows, right? Nobody's going to be abseiling. Well, maybe they are. Nobody's going to be abseiling through your windows. However, if you live on a terrace, in a row of terraced houses, guess what? Your front window, people will come through that, guys, if they want to. Absolutely, people will come through that. How easy is it to throw a brick through a window? Very easy. How easy is it to then get through? So you can think about things like armored glass. It's maybe like 30 quid. I think armored glass, like, for depending what you want it armored to, you're looking like maybe £30 a meter. That sounds cheap. It's not. I'd have to check on that. It's definitely not that price at all. I can't remember. Armored glass, basically. If you can't afford armored glass, and it is very pricey, maybe you need to board that window up, but from the inside. So 2 pieces of 2x4, left and right of your window, and then board it up on the safe side. Close the curtains. You're keeping that low profile, but then you've got your windows boarded up. And again, not everybody's going to want to do this. Maybe buy that stuff. But, make sure you've got that stuff in your garage in case everything does go south. Then you want to board your house up covertly. Even, equally, you may just think, fuck it, I'm going to board this up from the outside. Put a piece of, piece of 22 mil OSB out on the outside of your window, board it up. Nobody's going to come through that window. However, that is a visual, tell that someone's protecting that house. Again, most criminals and these will be opportunists, right? They will be opportunists. Unless someone's specifically targeting you, right? These are going to be opportunists. So you want to deter this as best as possible. Think about metal grills as well. I saw where I can't remember where I was driving, and I saw someone had metal grills on their windows. Now, I've only ever seen that in the Middle East. I did it. We did it to all our windows when I worked for an NGO out there. We had a bottom floor and it was facing the road, so we just had metal grills put on them. Metal grills on the outside of your windows. Nobody's coming in there, guys. All right. It's all these preventative measures are to deter people. If someone's determined to get through there, they're going to come with a still saw, right? They're going to come with a still saw, and then they're getting in anyway. Clear clutter from your garden. Anything that can be used as a projectile. How many people have got rows of bricks? House bricks as a... Go on. People put house bricks like on an angle into the ground as like borders for flowers. How many people have got those? Guess what? They're really easy to pull up and throw through your own windows. Opportunists, we don't want to give people that opportunity to get into your house or to use, your own stuff from, for coming through your windows. Nobody needs that, guys. Nobody needs that. With home security, right? I know I say the best thing and it is, if you've got any money and you need to put your money in something, put it in your vehicle, because that's going to be the best thing. We are talking about home security, right? So unfortunately, shit costs money, right? Shit costs money. CCTV cameras, overt CCTV, light sensors, they all provide a deterrence. Building a family planner. This is what people like. this is what I don't think. This is the main, this is what's going to get people. This is what's going to help people more than me talking, right? More than me talking, you talking among your family and your friends, what you can achieve, what you cannot achieve. Maybe you can't achieve any of this, and you just say, look, what we're going to do is we are just going to have one designated room in the house, and that's going to be the designated safe room. We're going to put a sheet steel door on that room, and if anything goes wrong, we're just going to go in that room and let whatever happens outside happen outside. But, you need to build a family plan. And this comes back to the first video I did on Prepping 101, build your family plan. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Now, security and technology, they do come hand in hand. Everybody wants the fantastic CCTV system, with all the sirens and the lights and everything. First of all, it's expensive, right? They're expensive. They are a deterrence, but they don't stop people, right? If you are a criminal, a determined criminal, a determined saboteur, a determined whatever, and you want to get in that house, the camera's not going to stop you, right? So yes, they are a deterrence, all right? And only in like the harshest of circumstances are people just going to drive straight through. You've got to understand what you're trying to hide. Are you being targeted? If you're being targeted, right, having a camera is not going to stop anything. All it's going to do is make somebody put a mask on, right? And most people do that anyway now. Good alarm systems, CCTV, cameras, lights, all these things help to deter. However, that's all they do. They deter. If people are determined, then, they're not bothered about getting caught on camera, right? Community links. Try and talk to your neighbors. Try and have, mutual support. And it's very difficult, right? And I understand this. It's very difficult to say to your neighbor, I still think you're crazy. Try and approach this as something you can both find common ground on. I know it's off-putting talking, and a lot of people will think you're crazy. And a lot of people will think you're crazy. But like we've just seen in the comments, guys, look what's happening in Mexico real quick. That stuff happens real quick. And when it happens really quickly, guess what? You don't have time to react. So start now. If you're serious about home defense, start now. And the first thing to do is to lower your profile. Literally, guys, lower your profile. When you drive past these flash houses and they've got curb appeal and everybody knows that Tony and Mandy live there and they're loaded. Yeah. Guess whose house is going to get the knock first? And I'm not meaning to be, negative to Tony and Mandy. Good luck to them. They need, if they've got enough money, they need to evacuate, right? But Tony and Mandy's house will be one of the first houses to be, interrogated, shall we say. Right, let me jump onto the chat before I continue, guys. This is going to be the first of two videos. This is going to be, like I said, guys, this is going to be the first of two videos. I want to talk and just kind of give like a feel for considerations about protecting your home. Now, the second part of this video, part 2, I'm going to talk about protecting your neighborhood, because if you're there on your own trying to protect your home, it's going to be very difficult, right? This is like your last line. If you can protect your neighborhood collectively, you don't need to protect your home because you've already protected your neighborhood, right? And that does get bigger and bigger. And if essentially, we live on an island, we shouldn't have any crime. Kev Mills is saying you can't stop people getting in. You can only slow them down. Yeah, exactly. And then deal with them once entry is gained. Yeah. If somebody wants to get in your house, that they are going to get in your house. All right. Unless you can, I don't know, it's going to happen, right? You know, it's going to happen. You know, you would be surprised what a still saw with a diamond blade will get through. Pretty much anything. Like, you can buy a reciprocating saw for like, I don't know, maybe 100 quid. Like, go and get like an, I don't know, like a DeWalt reciprocating saw with like a steel saw blade. That will cut through doors. That will absolutely cut through doors, guys. So as Kev Mills is saying, you're only buying time, best case scenario. James Dillon is saying, seriously, y'all, the enemy is inside the walls already. Wake up. It is, guys. The enemy's already here. And Santi Todd, who I think's in America, is saying lead down range. Unfortunately, we're in the United Kingdom and we are not allowed to do that, guys. We're not allowed to do that. All right, we're not allowed to do that. We've got to phone the police. In the United Kingdom, only criminals are allowed weapons. Witchmaster is saying, right, I don't know what that means. Okay, I don't know what that means. And Jay is saying something in, I think, Spanish. Is that Spanish? I don't speak Spanish, guys. I don't speak Spanish. Debbie Doobs is saying, can get cheap cameras off Temu. Other cheapo shops are available. So when you're thinking about home defense, guys, okay, like the best, like, okay, you've got to consider what you're trying to defend in your home, okay? What you're trying to defend what are you trying to defend in your home? If it's people, get yourselves out of there, right? Don't even be there. Monitor the news, monitor what's happening. Think about where you live, the communities you live in. Are you the odd one out in that community? If that community goes south, would you be targeted? Do you have a friendship network in there? And as always, like the main thing, like if you were to go away from this video, right, and forget everything else, all right, lower your profile. Right now, just lower your profile. You know, if you're going home and you're saying, oh, I've just bought all this stuff. I've just bought this. Oh yeah, we've got so much money as we're doing this, we're doing that. Guess what? Loose lips sinks boats. Santi Todd, unfortunately, we do not have the castle law in the United Kingdom. So for those of you guys who don't know, the castle law in the United Kingdom is if somebody bursts into your house as a criminal in the United Kingdom, sorry, stop, apply safety catch, right? Forget what I just said. The castle law in the United States is if somebody bursts into your house in the United States, you're allowed to stand your ground. And if you are, well, they get to have things in America that we don't have in the UK, right? They get to carry things and buy things. They're about this long. They're like metal. And like sometimes you put a magazine on one. I don't know what they're called. But you're allowed to use them in the United States. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to. We don't get them in the United Kingdom. And I think, right, as ridiculous as this sounds, let me check this. Hang on. Let me check this out. Because let me just Google this. Let me ask the Oracle. Hang on. I think you're only right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, right. In the United Kingdom, in fact, I need to share this so I don't get into trouble, right? In the United Kingdom, you can use reasonable force to defend your home, yourself, or others if, in the UK, a crime is taking place. You do not have to wait to be attacked first. The law allows you to use force to protect your property, but it must be proportionate to the threat. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, guys. I don't know what that means. I think, look, I wouldn't even want to comment on that. That's what AI is telling me. The best way to defend yourself is not to be there, right? A warning sign with danger landmines is a picture of What's that thing where it says snipers operate in this area? And I know this is only snipers operate in this area. Intruders will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Obviously, you know, that's illegal. I'm not suggesting do that. So Donna's coming up with a good point here, guys. Okay. Do not have your doors unlocked as then no crime has been committed. Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely forgot about that. So we found in the United Kingdom, if somebody walks into your house, in the United Kingdom, they're not breaking the law. It's a civil matter. Then you have to pursue them through the civil courts. Can you imagine? And you guys that are in America, yeah, I just said that. So for those of you guys, you know, there's a couple of guys from America. Here in the United Kingdom, right? If somebody walks into your home, it's not illegal. It's not a criminal offense. They just come into your house, you know. Paul J. Conley is saying, we ain't living life anymore. We just hosting it while everything else moves and wrecks to the place. I feel like that, mate. I do. I feel like that. I watched, I don't know if I did a TikTok video and I posted it on here as a short. I watched Jeremy Clarkson the other day, and Jeremy Clarkson, he sat there, right? And he's pouring himself a Hawkston, which is his beer. I think it was like an ad for Hawkston as well. And he's just saying, like, everything's gone wrong. Everything's gone wrong. And day by day, it just gets worse. And you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, God, right, what's it going to be today? Literally, what is it going to be today? Donna's become a member. Thank you so much for becoming a Donna member. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Donna. We know that, Donna, your contributions are fantastic. You're holding your microphone. Don't you do the ASMR thing? I think Donna does like ASMR or something. Thank you for becoming a member, Donna. Jack Jones is saying, right, I'm not getting into that, guys. I'm absolutely not getting into that. Which master is saying, or maybe you want to tangle with my security drones. That's a very poor choice indeed. I can take Superman down from the skies with the greatest of ease. Right, I don't think drones can take down Superman. I saw Superman stop an intercontinental ballistic missile, right? So I don't think drone... Right, listen, guys, we're totally going off on a side quest here. We're going off on a side quest, okay? We're going off on a... Oh, sorry, Donna. Sorry, Donna. Donna sings. Sorry, Donna. Sorry. Singing Mama. Yes, Donna's singing Mama. Right. Sorry. Yes, I do remember now. I do apologize. I guess it's ASMR, right? It's right. So listen, guys, we are talking today about defending your home. We're trying to talk through considerations that everybody needs to consider. There's going to be no two homes. There's going to be no two homes are the same defending them, right? I would always go for don't let people know you're there. Don't be there and you will be safe, right? Don't let people know you're there and they won't attack you. I used to drive through Baghdad, through Afghanistan in unmarked civilian cars, and I never once had any trouble. Never once had any trouble. I've also drove through same areas, same regions in big MRAPs, you know, mine resistant. What's an MRAP? Mine resistant and MR armored personnel carriers, MRAPs. The MRAPs attract bullets. They attract bombs. People want to blow them up. So keeping a low profile is your first line of defense, right? If people don't know you're there, they don't know you've got goodies, they ain't going to come and get you. We are going to be at that situation very soon where the people that have sworn that oath to come and protect you guys, literally, they're going to be gone, or they're not going to come, or they're going to be scattered protecting their own families, or worse still, wearing another uniform. Yeah, I said it. You guys know what I'm pointing at. If you guys, and I'm not going to, if you guys follow Rupert Lowe, he posted a, what was it? I'm just looking at it now. Give me a second. He posted a letter. I think it's a letter. Give me a second. Hang on, let me, there's a, right. I struggle to read this, guys. I do, but okay. So I'm just going to read you guys one sentence. Okay. I'm just going to read you guys one sentence. Whether you believe this or not, it's totally on you. But this was published like an hour ago, or maybe an hour and whatever. And this is one sentence from it. Police vehicles were used to traffic her, and some of the abuse events were called cop nights. That's what they're saying. So if you think that the police are going to come and save you, if you think that you can phone 999 and you're going to get these flashing lights, maybe you will. Maybe they'll come with the flashing lights, but they'll be wearing a different uniform. Let's not think that can't happen, guys, because in every civil war, this happens. In every civil war, people are left for themselves. You're going to be left not knowing who you can call, where you can run. And I've given you guys the analogy before, and I think it will happen. I do think this will happen where I think it will happen in a rural part of England, hard to get to, but from the police, where I said Ashford in the water. There's lots of little villages, right, that are in the middle of nowhere. There will be an incident, I believe, where one of these small villages in the middle of nowhere in the United Kingdom, very hard for the police to get to, and bad people will go there and bad things will happen, and it will take the police a long time to get there. I think that's coming, guys. I really do. You know, we heard the other day at London when there was the stabby that the boy can't be named because he was 13. There was a stabby today in Germany. Another stabby today in Germany. A Jehovah's Witness, an Afghan man's been arrested. 30, I think he was 35. The incident in London took the police 13 minutes to get there, right? From the time they got the call to the time they were there. And I know what you're thinking. 13 minutes is not long. Trust me, guys, all right? If there's bad things happening, your fucking whole world can change in 30 seconds. Now, I would say that 13 minutes is closer to 30 minutes. Because by the time that because remember, the incident happens. Can you think about, okay, so let's talk about that incident. So the incident in London, right? The incident will have happened and then somebody will have phoned the police, right? Because you're not going to phone the police before the incident happens, right? You know. And if you can, go tell me what the lottery numbers are going to be. So you phone the police, you get through to an operator. That operator then sends you to a dispatcher. That dispatcher then needs to identify what it is. Now, in this particular circumstance, it was one boy with one stabby. So that is one, TSU, Tactical Support Unit. I think that's what they're called, or Armed Response Team. I don't know what they're called. So then they dispatch that. That's when the clock starts, 13 minutes, okay? Takes them 13 minutes to get from point A to point B. Right, we're at the school now. Stop the clock. No. How long did it then take them to get from the cars to the room? By that time, the assailant's gone. Now, if this happens, which I think it will, look, guys, does anybody think that there are not bad people planning bad stuff right now? So if this happens, right, in a rural location in the United Kingdom, how long before that first call's made? How long before that first call's made? I mean, we live in a well-fortified house, but the flip coin to that, if somebody gets in here, it could be hours before, if somebody gets in here, it could be hours, before, it could be hours before anybody, probably maybe even days before the alarm goes out. In fact, you guys would probably put the alarm out, right? Because I'd not be on the live stream at 8 or 10 in the morning. You're like, Sean's not on the live stream. Phone 999. So it's going to, for some of these houses in the countryside, it's going to be hours. They may go to one house. And if they can't get in, they'll just go to the next house. And this is why it's so important to, defend your home, deter from any attacks, like I keep saying, guys, okay, the first thing that you need to do before the trouble starts, lower your profile. Lower your profile. And defending your home focuses on prevention, deterrence, de-escalation, and ultimately survival. Now, in the United Kingdom, we're not a country where armed standoffs are common. It just doesn't happen. We have very tightly controlled firearms laws, vastly restricted, the law heavily emphasizes on reasonable force. I don't know what that means, guys. Go and look I don't know what that means. I'm not a legal expert. I'm just, telling you what it says. So the priority in defending your home is avoiding that confrontation in the first place, right? Avoid people wanting to get in your home in the first place, wherever possible. And that starts by lowering your profile. Things you can do initially: reinforce your doors, reinforce your windows. And all these things are buying you time. They're buying you time. And I know you might not want them on. I think the cheapest way that you guys are going to be able, if you live, I'm just thinking now, I used to live in a terraced house. And I'm thinking, if I was to defend that terraced house, I would board the window up. I would board the front window up because it's a massive, it's an easy target, right? I would board that window. That's your cheapest option. You can get right now in Wix, you can buy a 8x4 22mm OSB sheet for 23 quid. I know, because I need to get some for the roof. And put one of them over your windows, right? Bolt it in, raw plugs, screw that in. That's going to stop people coming through. Absolutely. I'd say your second option would be to put bars on your window. Looks a little bit unsightly from the outside, but you know what? From the inside, you can hardly tell. You can hardly tell if you've got bars on your windows from, if you've got bars on the outside of your windows, you can hardly tell if you're on the inside. And I've seen a guy, I can't remember where I was driving, but I looked, and he's got like a garden gate, like a steel garden gate. He's got one of them in front of his door. It's going to stop people. They ain't going to come through there. It's going to be a lot harder to cut through that metal gate than the plastic, the PVC door. And again, all these things are deterring. So if you imagine you're the bad guy now, right? You're the bad guys. You want to commit as much carnage and mayhem as you can, right? You need to do it fast and dirty. You need to do it hard and fast. You need to get in. You need to cause as much damage in as little time as possible. If you see somebody with all their, with their houses, boarded up, you're going to think, right, it's going to take me like 5-10 minutes to get through that. Pointless, right? Because that's 5-10 minutes more. Everybody's being alerted and maybe the police are coming. So it's a huge deterrence. It's a huge deterrence, guys. It really is. So I would go, if you're looking at your bottom window, ground floor window, I would do, just buy an OSB sheet. Buy a 22 mil OSB sheet. And you know what? You could probably sell it back later because the price of wood's going crazy. 8 by 4, 8 foot by 4 foot OSB sheet, oriented strand board, 22 mil. Put it in the shed with raw plugs and, and bolts. And if things do escalate to whatever stage, just go and put it on the front of you, put it on your window. That's going to stop people coming through your window. Absolutely. No shadow of a doubt. And that may be one of your escalation points. You may be sat there now, you might think, right, okay, if things get really bad, I'm going to go and buy it. If this X, Y, and Z, right, if those airstrikes go into Iran tomorrow, I'm going to go and buy one of those OSB sheets. I'm not going to put it up. I'm just going to buy it and put it in the, put it in the shed. And you know what? If things de-escalate, you can make like a little table out of it or something. And then the next stage of escalation, if it happens where you live and things get bad, you've got that there as an option, right? And what I'm getting at here is, guys, okay, if you are serious about defending your home, you need to start now. And whatever I say, everybody's house is going to be different. Everybody's situation is going to be different. Everybody's capacity is going to be different. Listen, and there may be people on the live stream thinking, what's an OSB? How am I going to get that home? What am I going to do? How do I drill that in? And I get that, I get that. Everybody's different. Talking about this with your friends, with your family, and coming together with a specific home security plan for your own needs. That's what you need to do now. And I'll keep saying this, lower your profile, lower your profile. We all know Kevin and Mandy. At number 42. They've got like these grand lions. They've got these grand lions on their, on their porch. They've got the beautiful driveway. It's all been done out in marble. They've got a new Mercedes. They've got a brand new Mercedes on the drive. They've got one of them little Caterhams in the garage. Guess whose house is going to be the first one to get the knock on the door? Right, guys, I'm conscious of the time. Right. How would you keep small people quiet? Yeah, how do you keep children quiet? You kind of can't. If anybody's tried to keep children quiet, it's virtually impossible. This is all going to come down to your planning, right? This is all going to come down to your... Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, Donna has gifted 5 Real Raven 1 memberships. Thank you so much, Donna. Guys, whoever got those memberships, please say thank you to Donna. I don't know if you have, because I know I was just waffling there for quite a while. Whoever got those memberships, guys, I don't know how it works with we're gifting the memberships, but thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so much, Donna. Donna's just gifted 5 memberships, so thank you so much for that, Donna. You are fantastic, as always. Thank you for that. I don't know who got them. I'm just trying to look up now. Whoever got them, guys, please say thank you for Donna. Please say thank you for Donna. To Donna, sorry. The Watchman is saying, ever seen a marker fire? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Silly Galade is saying, watch Red Alert. One of the stories is about, oh God, guys, I can't even, like, I can't even think of this. I can't even think of this. Like, I honestly, I can't even think of that, Silly. I can't think of that. That's like my worst nightmare. Like, look, this whole, let me go back to who, in fact, Donna's saying it again. Small children can be kept quiet. You have to practice the quiet game. Do it. I think we're talking about like kids crying, kids crying. So you can imagine the scenario, right? You can imagine the scenario now, right? You're on the street, you live in a terrace house, and there's banging at the doors, they're screaming. Like, look what happened to Har Hills last year. Literally, this sort of stuff happens, guys. It's quite terrifying. It is, guys. It's absolutely terrifying. If you're in that situation, you really need to find a bug out location, like a secondary location. And I don't want to go into my previous videos that I've done. I don't know if you guys have watched my previous video. I did I did do run, hide, fight. I did hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Now, just really quickly, I'm going to try and run through this in under a minute, right? So hibernate, relocate, evacuate. It's a risk management tool that people use when they're operating in hostile environments. Most non-government organizations will run off this. Okay, so if you're operating in northeast Syria or wherever, and things start going bad, your security manager, like what I would do, I would have a plan, and I would say, right, if X, Y, and Z happen, everybody get back to the villa. Right? If A, B, and C happen, we're getting the fuck out of here. Right? If this happens, we're leaving the country. You need to get these plans in place, and you need to have a sufficient bug out location. Just say to your friends or family, and it may be the case that if you live in a city, if you live in a big city, a big town, or an area that you may feel is at particular risk for whatever reason, you may think, right, I've got 3 kids, I live in an apartment, absolutely pointless me hibernating. The kids are not going to be quiet, right? The kids ain't going to be quiet. Tommy's going to be playing on his, because this is what kids will do. This is what kids will do, right? You'll have all hell breaking loose outside, like people screaming, petrol bombs. You'll be saying, be quiet, be quiet. And your kids will be complaining that they can't have the noise on the Xbox or whatever. That's what they will be doing. Honestly, that's what they will be doing. Why can't I just have the volume on a little bit? And you don't want to scare your kids, right? You don't want to scare your kids. So the best, prevention is always better than a cure, right? So if you're in that situation, that scenario, right? You live in, let's just say you live in Birmingham. Where was that rioting? Aston. Let's just say you live in Aston, right? In Birmingham. And doesn't it sound nice, Aston? Aston sounds beautiful, right? Let's just say you live in Aston, you've got 3 kids, and you live in a block of flats. I don't know if that's even a thing in Aston. You look at your situation, you look at your scenario, and you're like, right, I know what Sean's saying about home defense, but for me, it's totally pointless. Totally pointless, because I'm getting the fuck out of here. Anything happens, any tweak, anything we don't like, we're going to go to Aunt Margaret's, who lives in Tamworth, right? We're just going to go and live with Aunt Margaret in Tamworth until all this shit blows over. That's kind of what you need to be thinking, okay? However, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking today about home defense, right? I'm talking about home defense. If you're going to forget everything, guys, if you are going to forget everything, and I had to give you guys this in 30 seconds, and people said, Sean, how can I defend my home? I would say lower your profile. Lower your profile. It's the quickest, cheapest, and one of the most effective ways to protect yourself. If people don't know you're there, they're not going to attack you, right? I'll give you 2 scenarios, right? Just quickly, right? So you've got Kevin and Mandy, right? Kevin and Mandy at number 42. They are plastic millionaires, right? They're plastic millionaires. They don't really have that much money. They're financed up to the hilt, but they're flashy. They've got the lions. They've got the lions on their, on their gate posts. They've got the driveway that they can't afford. They've got the new Mercedes on finance. Beautiful house inside. But they're plastic millionaires, right? Number 43, literally next door, is Johnny and Chloe. Johnny and Chloe. Johnny and Chloe. Johnny and Chloe are actually real millionaires, right? They are absolutely real millionaires, but they don't feel the need to flash their wealth. They sit behind, very modest furnishings. They have a very standard car on the drive. It's a bit of a banger, actually. It's a bit of a banger. They don't shop at ultra expensive places. They don't go on extravagant holidays. They're very humble. Out of those two houses, which one do you think's going to get the knock on the door earliest? You guys know where I'm going, right? Okay. So we are talking about home defense, and the best way to, lower your profile, right? That's the best thing you need to do, lower your profile. Lots of things to consider, your doors, your windows. Some people are putting dogs. Who's putting dogs? Yeah. People are talking about dogs in the... people are talking about dogs. Dogs are a lifetime. Dogs are a lifetime commitment, guys. Okay, I don't want to tell anybody to get a dog, and I purposely left this out. Like, nobody's coming into your house if you've got like my friend. He's got 2 Malinois in his garden. Nobody's going there. Like, not a chance. Those things are beasts. Don't buy a dog, guys. If you're not, especially these big dogs, especially these Malinois. If you're going to buy one of these high performance animals, and they are high performance, like if you're going to get one of those high performance dogs, just, I don't even want to say make the right decision. If you're going to buy one of those high performance dogs, you need to give it the time that it deserves. You can't have it cooped up in a flat. You can't have it cooped up with nowhere to go. You've got to give it. You've got to treat those things right. Okay, they're animals. They're it's life at the end of the day. The Watchman is saying get Tiger King in. Yeah, get Tiger King in. Right, guys, listen. I'm just going to look on the chat one more time. Why not just watch Home Alone movies? Right. George Smith, we talked. I actually talked about this, and I used Macaulay Culkin as something I said. I said, listen, all that stuff's illegal, right? It really is. I know it's funny, like, somebody got the spinning the paint can. What else? There's the paint can. There's the blowtorch. There's the feathers. There's the glue. There's the Home Alone your house. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of those things are not practical. All right, a lot of those things are not practical. I'm just jumping up on the chat, guys. Revolution has arrived. Is saying I'm stocking up on my Calagas and dry stores, meds, water, tins, food. Yeah, gas is a huge one, guys. It really is. I don't think okay. Let me be quite clear. I think the likelihood of a full-scale civil war breaking out in the United Kingdom is virtually impossible. What's going to happen is going to be a lot worse, right? Because if we say a civil war, a clean description of a civil war would be 2 opposing sides, 2 different ideologies, both with easily identifiable goals and objectives, right? That's what you would say, that's what you would say civil war is. I don't think we're going to have that. In fact, I would say 100% we're not going to have that. We're going to have something that's a lot more fractured. I'm talking about widespread civil unrest, riots, limited breakdowns of communities. I think that's a good, yeah, limited breakdowns of community. So if you guys remember in the summer, I can't remember when it was. I think it was not, I think it was summer 24. Let me get this up. Because there's probably some pictures. I think it was 2024. I think this is it. Right, give me a second. News. Yeah, here we are. Right, so this is from, so this is from the BBC, right? So I'm going to share this with you. So if you think that this can't happen in the United Kingdom, it's already happening. It's already happened. So I'm just going to share this with you now. I just want to look at the pictures. So like they're and I know, like this is a very Middle Eastern tactic. So what they're doing there is they're making blockades on the road. I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're blockading the road, right? So they're making fires in the middle of the road, so the police vehicles can't get there. So you can imagine being stuck in Har Hills now, or wherever, and the and the emergency services can't get to you. Look, another one, burnt out vehicle in the road, stopping the police. I think that looks like maybe a bus or something. But yeah, we all watched this unfold. And the police couldn't get in. The police did not go in. They just let them ransack the place because the police were scared. Can you imagine living there? Can you imagine living there being afraid? Kind of terrifying, guys. These things have already happened and they're happening more frequently now. Right, guys, I'm going to close this down now. You guys are... oh, hang on a minute. Revolution has arrived. He's saying, I'm in the city of Cardiff. Revolution has arrived. I used to live in Cardiff. I used to live in Cathays. So listen, guys, just listen. I'm gonna close this down in a second. But where I used to live in Cathays, I can't remember what the street was called. But at the end of the street, there was a letting agency, right? And they used to let out houses. At night time, they would take those signs. They would take those signs off, and it was a kebab shop. I like Cardiff. I'm in the city of Cardiff. So city gets closed down. I'm in an area with loads of my old school boys. We have police outside every school in my area. Revolution has arrived. Are you saying that police cars go and sit outside schools in Cardiff? Is that what you're saying? I don't. Is that Revolution? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that? I don't know if you're still on. Revolution has arrived. Are you saying? Sorry, guys. Are you saying if you're still on? Can you please? Can you just give a yes or a no? Are you saying that in Cardiff, police sit outside schools? Because that is wild. If that, I don't know if that's true, but if that is true, that is absolutely crazy. Wow, Jesus. Listen, guys, this is news to me. This is news to me. Look, guys, I just want everybody to focus in on this comment real quick, and I'm gonna leave this as the final comment on the screen, okay? What Revolution has arrived is saying is in his region, or well, I assume you're a man. I'm assuming you're a man. I'm assuming you identify as a man. He's saying in in Cardiff, there is police officers outside the schools. Honestly, guys, I'm shocked. I'm genuinely shocked. I didn't realize that that was a thing. So if you're in a part of the world like we are, we don't have police outside our schools yet. just listen to this, guys. Literally, just listen to this. Police are now stationed outside schools. And if you like, look, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Otherwise, I'm just going to go down, down a massive track. Listen, guys, this is part 1 of 2. I'm going to come back on. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it today, but I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another Defending Your Home series. And what I'm going to talk about in that is defending, like just giving considerations, defending your local area, your estate, your community, and what to look for and how to do that. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come and do another one of those videos. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys are fantastic. You're beautiful. And thank you so much. In fact, thank you so much, Donna Prepper, for gifting 5 memberships. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. And everybody who got gifted a free membership, you've got Donna Prepper to thank. So I will be closing this down now, guys. I'll be back on at 8. I don't think I'm going to get time to jump on earlier on. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will catch you guys later.